I love paint, you know, I love paint and I love canvas. And I just find that paint, it never behaves in the same way twice, and it's always surprising, you know. It's just an incredible medium. You know, paint behaves like it's an organic material, you know. It's just like a water pouring down a wall or a waterfall or rain or natural elements, you know. I mean, it just has that flexibility that other mediums don't have. And yet it turns into things all the time, always has done.
Well, you know, if John Hoyland hadn't existed, it would have been necessary to have invented him. The British art world needed a answer to abstract expressionism. The British art world and the British art museums needed a quasi-abstract expressionist painter at that point to put into their modern art galleries. And Hoyland fitted the bill. He was a virtuoso. He has enormous dexterity in the slickest imaginable sense. It's certainly abstract painting. And to me, it's abstract in the most limited sense of all. It's painting which is confined to a particular area of experience, the area of painting itself. I mean, you could say it's painting about painting.
At a time when his own painting and abstract painting in general has been under heavy attack, John Hoyland prepares for a major exhibition at a key point in his career. At 44, many people consider him to be the best abstract artist in this country, but success has brought criticism. There are artists and critics who despise his work and what it stands for. The power to communicate, he believes, still belongs to the traditional means of paint and canvas. He started to paint in Sheffield, the city where he was born. In London, he developed a style of his own and rapidly became a 60s success. Since then, his work has continued to develop and change, but the climate in which he works has changed too. During the last decade, painting, especially abstract painting, has been challenged by a riot of alternatives.
There have been pressures all through the 60s, all kinds of pressures, from this-ism, that-ism, you know, whether it's pop art, optical art. I mean, all these things are the messiah of the moment, you know. Found art, kinetic art, happenings, land art, you know, all these things that all been going on. Conceptual art, think about it art. Think about it art?
In the studio, the artist becomes his own public and his own critic. During 6 days in September, we filmed John Hoyland at work on one painting.
I very often have the radio on because just that sort of constant junk that you hear, I find that it sort of empties my mind out. It sort of acts as a filter so that I don't get too conscious of what I'm doing. I think that's very useful. Plus, it stops you feeling so lonely. Just making a painting, I mean, it seems such a ridiculous activity in a way. I mean, nobody wants it, particularly. And you don't know if you can do it. You don't know if you're strong enough to do it. It's just you on your own in a room. I don't know, you sort of have maybe some balmy idea that you could, you have a glimpse of how you might be able to go ahead and make a painting, you know. I always start by staining it. But as far as the colour and the placing of the colour and so on, you know, I don't have a clue what I'm going to be doing by the time I get to that side of the picture. Just anything that looks nice. Somebody once said that painting was, on a blank white canvas, was a bit like shadow boxing. There's nothing really to have a dialogue with at this point. Just the colour and getting it on. It'll give me something to work against later. I mean, you have to sort of, I mean, it's so fragile an activity, I think, making a painting, trying to bring a painting sort of into the world, as it were, that you have to sort of give yourself all sorts of balmy, kid yourself along, you know, kid the painting along, and try to kind of keep your confidence up. I mean, you're painting these things that nobody wants. And the whole activity is sort of a bit unreal, in a way, at least while you're doing it. Everybody keeps coming out saying it's rubbish. It's unreal. You know, then a lot of people, they're going to succumb to that, aren't they? They're going to think, Christ, it is pretty unreal, you know. During the 3-day week, for instance, the whole country's grinding to a halt. And then here you are in a corner of the room with a feather duster in your hand, kind of flicking away like some chambermaid or something. I mean, that's pretty unreal. You know, you think, what the hell am I doing? So now you know why I don't do any jogging. I think it's much too easy to paint beautiful pictures, especially today with these acrylic paints, the way they work like watercolor, and they have all the qualities of watercolor. But I usually have to sacrifice them for something more durable and more permanent. It's like sacrificing the qualities of a watercolor to get the permanence of an oil painting. I always wish I could use some of this, but most of it will probably have to go. In the end, it's probably too, I don't know, flashy or slick or something. Oh, I don't know. I just like, I mean, it looks good when it's wet, but when it dries, it probably looks terrible. You know what I mean? With me, it's very funny with painting. If I'm on top, if I'm dominating the painting, as I am at the moment, then I'm enjoying it, but it's not really all that satisfying. On the other hand, if a painting is going all wrong and I'm sort of struggling with it, that's usually equally bad. It's only when it's a sort of touch-and-go situation when I'm not quite sure who's winning, but I hope I am, you know. And I keep sort of fainting and blocking and playing and not committing myself and so on. And then I'll throw in something to try and surprise myself or the painting or whatever. And that's when it gets exciting, I think, when you're not sure. When it's the sort of painting where you keep going out of the room and coming back in and having a little look at it, you know, to see if it's, maybe it's all right, you know, maybe it's terrible, maybe it's stupid, or maybe it's obvious. It's just the ones where you come back in and you know exactly what it's going to look like, and it looks like that. It just sits there and looks back at you. And you know you've got to go on with it then and try to make it something else, you know, something a bit more surprising. I mean, you can't really think about colour. You can just, you respond to colour. I mean, I think there must be something that makes you choose one colour and not choose another colour. And that probably springs from some source or other that we, you know, don't necessarily know too much about. I mean, I can use certain colours at certain times, and other times there's just no way that I could use that colour. It would, you know, probably repulse me or something. Very often does. But colour's not an intellectual choice. It's more something that one that kind of comes over one, that one responds to in the way that perhaps one responds to, you know, other emotions, maybe fears, in the way that one might be frightened when one walks past a dog or something. It's just, it's not a conscious choice. I mean, you can, I mean, at certain times when I get into trouble in a painting, I sometimes try and think my way out of it, but I don't know if that's the best answer, really, and the best thing to do. Sometimes one has to try to unlearn what one's learned about colour analysis and so on, and try to get back to a more simple state. You know, a more kind of childlike use of colour. I sometimes think I know too much about colour and not, you know, and I don't know enough, but I just know too many other things. Too many things I've learned, you know.
Does that mean it's random?
No, I don't think it... I think it may start out random, but I think it doesn't end up random. I think in the end, even the choice of the size of the stretcher when you order it over the phone, I think that not even that is random in the end. You know, everything has to relate in a total kind of way. And if the stretchers are the wrong size, then the whole thing won't gel, you know? So I don't think anything is random at all in the end. It's a question of trying to reach into something and kind of the absurdity of talking about it. You know, it's something you really can't and shouldn't talk about, you know.
That makes it sound very indulgent.
Very what?
Indulgent.
Very?
Indulgent.
Well, what's all this about indulgence? I mean, what's it supposed to be? You know, I mean, what's wrong with expressing yourself? I mean, is it indulgent to, you know, blow a trumpet or something? Is that indulgent? Is it indulgent to play a cymbal or, you know, play a musical instrument? Is that indulgent? Is it?
You talked about pushing paintings into places you haven't been.
Again, you know, you don't know. You know, it's something you really can't talk about. I mean, that's the reason you paint, you see. The reason you paint is because that is the way you find out how to do it. You can't think it through and then just do it. You've got to think while you're doing it. I mean, critics sometimes say that you can't blame it all on the eye, that you've got a brain as well. Well, of course you've got a brain as well, but you've also got an eye. And I think that the two things have got to work together. I think I'd better do something different. I think I'm beginning to go through that horrible time when you don't know what you're doing, you know. Is that sort of so kind of phony dramatic, the way it is there, to get rid of it? If you're a figurative painter, the more precisely you work, the more controlled your painting is, the better it seems to be. But with abstract painting, the more control it is, the more superficial it seems to be. It has to be kind of more raw. And I think that a lot of English artists, including myself, tend to be not raw enough, you know? Of course, then you get the other ones who try to go to the other extreme because they're aware of that, and they end up being like a lot of kind of faggy cavemen or something. But you know, I'm picking up all kinds of rubbish now from the bottom of the can, which is sort of good, you know, sort of fragments of things happening. Turn it over. I don't have much colour left. Let me think what I've got. That's what I mean about panicking.
What things are you hoping to pick up on at this stage?
I don't know, really. I mean, it's all panic at this point. I mean, I'm trying to coax the painting along, but I'm not trying to impose on it, you know. I'm not trying to force a rigid idea on it. So things are just happening. I'm letting the paint, trying to let the paint work for me, you know, trying to let the paint do things for me. It always amuses me when people say that they've been having problems, nervous problems or suicidal problems, and they get them into painting as a form of therapy. And always amuses me because I think if you want to drive somebody crazy, the thing to do is to get them painting. I mean, it's such a nerve-wracking business. I don't see how anybody could relax with it. I think when you look at a painting and you look at what's there, I think very often in my case, the charge I get back from it is I get after images back. So I often tend to paint the after images in. I mean, somebody pointed that out to me. I didn't really notice it, but so that if I'll tend to put something that's a kind of an opposite color or a color that is perhaps discordant with the one that's on there. And the reason I like to sometimes put color on this way, although it's terribly wasteful, is that it's a way of backing into form, but at the same time not having to be inhibited by the hand and the sort of skills of the wrist. I mean, it allows for an element of control, but an element of chance at the same time. I've been knifing paintings for quite a long time now. I don't know why. Somehow I think that it's the density of the loading that you get on that you don't get with a brush. The marks record the energy of the stroke, but it's no use just having energy in the stroke. Because otherwise you've just got the record of energy. You've got the image itself has got to build up energy that it can sustain. I feel like Nancy Komsky. You ever see her? She teaches painting on television. Rougher the better, because they get tidy too quick. It's easy to tidy them up. You know, you can get, if you get some kind of vigor into it at this point. You've got nothing to lose. You've got absolutely nothing to lose. You might, you know, you might even gain some. I'm doing it because I'm encouraging the paint to run a little, but I'm arresting it because I feel that it's part of the, it gives a directional pull to the movement of that area of the painting, which I suspect, or hopefully will help the picture. Also helps to overlap those colours so that they, you know, tie into each other. Trying to decide what to do with it. That's what you can't show, you know, the hours that you spend just looking. Terrible, isn't it?
Give it a chance. Bloody hell. How many days have you been working on it?
Two days. Well, it's a real mess.
You're using a hell of a lot of colour, aren't you? Bloody hell.
Well, most of it will get obliterated, I suppose, in the end. It's such a wasteful way, but I can't see any other way of doing it. I hate to see all that paint getting wasted.
Yes, I know that feeling. Expensive.
Are you going to put blocks in on the left-hand
I
side?
don't know.
Or-
Don't know yet. I'm not sure.
You don't often use black, do you? It's something.
No, I shall have a good think when everybody's gone home. I don't know if I should do this, but I'm going to just do it anyway because I'm not satisfied with what's there. So, see what happens. Everything's a danger, you know. I mean, getting too fiddly, sort of nagging at a painting and not, you know, instead of just leaving it, you know. But at the same time, you always have to walk that tightrope between, on the one hand, fussing with a painting, on the other hand, just leaving it so that it's not really, you know, it's not really come together. So you're trying to make the painting come together. You're trying to sort of almost trick the painting into happening. And as though you've almost got to like not care about it. On the other hand, you've got to exercise some control. But if you have too much control, then nothing's going to happen. You know? So I don't quite know what to do next. At this point, I mean, I don't generally spend a whole day on a painting at this point, unless the painting is really hopeless. At the moment, I think there are lots of things about the painting that I like, and maybe that's a bad thing, I don't know. Because maybe they'll have to go in the end, you know. But at the moment, there are certain things I like about it. But I really can't see it, you know, I'm too close to it, and it's all wet, and I just have to look at it in a more reflective way later when it's dried and when everybody's gone home and so on. You know? I don't know. It's just, I think I can probably even do it when the painting's dry. I can probably, maybe it's not even the form there. Maybe it's not even the shape. Maybe it's just that tone. Maybe it wants one. You know, you can change a whole painting just by putting changing one tone of the same color. Just a fraction. And maybe I can just sort of sneak that in and make that more solid, because there it's just floating away into something I don't want, you know. But the general kind of build-up across the painting, you know, from top to bottom, and these related forms and things, and this thing, and, you know, this to that. I mean, you know, something's coming. I don't know if it's any good or not, but I mean, something's coming. I want to make simple paintings, but I don't want to make simple paintings that are simple-minded. I want to make paintings that become simple through a synthesis. And maybe I'm not there yet. Maybe I can't make a simple painting at the moment. Maybe I have to go through this complexity. And if I have to go through it, you know, then I have to go through it. When you see a great painting, It's kind of effortless. And I'm not making effortless paintings. But then I think you have to go through all that complexity and struggle before you can make an effortless painting. I mean, when you see a really great Miro, it's just, you know, like that, you know. Or a great Japanese drawing or something, you know, it's just like that. I can't do that yet. It's a life or death thing, you know. I mean, I'd hate to lose this painting. Maybe we won't lose it. Maybe we'll manage to do something with it, turn it around or something. There are good things in it. It's just that I don't quite know how to do it. But I may hit on it. I may come in here one morning. Unfortunately, I may come in here one morning when you're not here and just suddenly think, oh, well, you know, maybe I'll just do something. That's very often how it happens, actually. You think, well, I'm not painting today. You know, forget this painting. I'm not going to do it. Then you go in there and say, well, maybe I'll just put this on here, you know. And then maybe in 5 minutes, 10 minutes, you've just found the key to lock in the whole idea. But it's finding the key and just hitting the right spot, you know. And I can't guarantee it. I can't guarantee I can do it on the camera. That's the way it is. Of course you feel very feeble at times, you know, you feel very vulnerable. I don't know what you want me to say. I mean, you feel very vulnerable. But then you just have to keep going. You just have to look at the people that you respect, that you admire, and you know, most of the critics I've ever met in my life are pretty damn feeble against the people I respect. So that's a pretty firm, you know, backup. I'm not interested in the English idiosyncratic tradition of, say, you know, Rawlinson, Hogarth, Hockney, etc. I don't know why that is. I'm much more attracted to the idea of paintings that mystify me, that overwhelm me. I'm more interested in, you know, jungle, desert, mountains. I'm not interested in painting pictures that resemble, you know, neat English gardens with gnomes. I like my paintings to overwhelm somebody. I mean, the sort of painting I like, it would overwhelm them, it would make them think about it afterwards, it would, you know, blow their minds. That's what I'm interested in.
Right. Yep.
Yeah.
Huh? You wanna?
Yes, I'm